All right, Ganesh, sir.
Yes, Sam, I'm here.
Yeah, can you switch on your video? Yes. All right, so good evening from India and good morning to the other parts of the world, or greetings to wherever you belong to. Namaskar, Sashriyakal, Vanakkam, Andariki Namaskaram. All right, Sabhi ko Namaskar, Hindustan se, thank you so much. Welcome to this talk show on behalf of VIT-AP University. We welcome all of you for this Samvad with Sam series. And we would like to thank Mr. Ganesh Ramachandran, sir. Yeah, Vanakkam, thank you so much. Welcome to the show. Thank you for giving your time off
Thank you, Sam.
from UK and Geneva. I know it's difficult to get people like you, but then thank you so much for being kind enough to take our invitation. We welcome you on behalf of VIT-AP University and on behalf of VSB, VIT-AP School of Business. So the audience, whether you're going to watch this online now and whichever part of the country you belong to, or you're going to watch it later, all right, for all of you. Today, I'm really thrilled. I'm so excited, and I was looking for this time for the last 2 months. Ganesh and I, we were having talks off and on, off and on, off and on, and today we go with the entire talk. So thank you so much, sir, for coming. So with your permission, can you just quickly first take the audience, yeah, through your profile, and before which, if you just throw a little light on yourself, so as to what you're doing now a little bit, so that by the time I put up your screen. Yeah, over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone. Thanks, Professor Sam. It's a wonderful opportunity and an honor to be here. As Professor Sam mentioned, we connected 2 months ago through one of the webinars where I was invited as one of the resource person. And it's been an amazing journey since then. And on some of the conversations and collaborations, we have been talking about it. And the experiences we were sharing was brought us here. Currently, I am right now in London, where my family lives. But for living, I work for a UN organization based in Geneva, working on innovation in the space of global health. That's what I do for profession. So I juggle between my time between Geneva and London. Due to lockdown, I moved back to London where my family resides. So I've been working out of London for the last 6 months with the plan that I will return to Geneva early September. So that's what me and probably we can as we spend the next few minutes, we can talk about some of my experiences and the life journey and stories I will between me and Professor Sam, we will start sharing with you.
Thank you, sir. So with your kind permission, I'm just trying to share your LinkedIn profile just for the audience sake, and then we go with all your presentations and talk. And there we go. We have Ganesh Ramachandran, an experienced leader, a humanitarian, a thinker, a futuristic solver, mentor, dreamer. He's got so many feathers to his cap. And let's just go down first to his academics, his studies, and what all he has done. And he's also had his undergraduation even in Chennai, in Calcutta. Then also did his executive education in MIT Sloan Executive Education, and also doing his executive masters in innovation and entrepreneurship at HEC Paris. And I'm sure people would be knowing that HEC Paris is also known as the Oxford of France. If I'm not wrong, Ganesha, it's one of the premium world-class institution. And now at this age and at this stage, having so much of 24 years of international experience, still doing his executive masters in innovation and entrepreneurship, that shows his passion for continuous learning, and started working with a lot of experience. Let's go from the beginning. All right, at Oxfam, being a volunteer and then working there, then being in the field finance manager for Doctors of the World. All right, then Mercy Corps. All right, then again in Kenya, Christian Aid, then again in International Rescue Committee. All right, so many, and CARE for 5 years. All right, then advisor at Teens in AI, and that's something which I want to take through, which he is doing amazing work uh, based out of London, but giving amazing mentorship to teens in AI, which is a amazing concept which people should know. And there we go. So working with amazing, talented young people, working for humanitarian cause, that's about Ganesh Ramachandran. But I would like to bring more to exactly why we have chosen Ganesh sir, all right, today. So, sir, there we go. I'll just first quickly take people through what is there. We put this question on the poster, and I also put this question to a lot of my students. Hey, do you want to hear from a person who is in pursuit of purpose? In pursuit of purpose, yeah? And just in that poster, what we gave there, that Mr. Ganesh Ramachandran was born in a small village in down south of Tamil Nadu with a big dream to travel and make a difference. Now, the reason we are so excited with this talk today, I'm sure this is gonna boil your blood. This is gonna make you think. There is a person who comes from a small village with a big dream and to travel to 6 continents, 66 countries with a purpose to make an impact in the lives of the most needy. Now, when you say 66 countries, coming from a small village in South India, it's not about the countries where people say, hey, have you been to Germany, America? No, no, no. Sir has been to the most challenging countries where people would never even think of going. The war-torn place, war zone, all right? Any pandemics there, calamities places where people need peace, peace restoration, helping people to come on their own, building communities, building health in those countries. We also see the list of his countries and how, with such a humility, person who's traveled to 6 continents, 66 countries, is right there with us. So we are fortunate, we're humbled to have you right here today. So let's just take you through from, this is what I got from Ganesha, that you can see the world map, and wherever you see orange, am I right, Professor? Orange, yeah. That's the visited countries, all right? North America, Canada, complete, syllabus over, no, right? Brazil, Mexico, Africa is over, okay? Europe entirely over, all right? India, Australia, Philippines, whatever. And there's again a bucket list of next 14 countries. It's such a great joy because traveling with the purpose to help humanitarian is something which is there in Ganesha's passion. All right. So, sir, you can unmute yourself. I just want to take the audience through a little bit of your journey. So, whatever picture comes, it's all yours. You can just keep telling it. Oh, what is this? I don't know when in our life we'll go in a charter flight, but there you go, coming from a village. And I remember you telling us in your story where you used to look up, whenever the flights are going up and say, will I ever travel like this in my life when you were a kid? So can you just tell us what is this pictures about?
So, the picture on the left, the small plane, that was in Afghanistan. That was in, I think, in 2002. The mountains, what you see behind the backdrop, or the Hindu Kush mountains, what we call from here, or Pamir Mountains, they call it in Tajikistan, and that's the landing strip in a place called Faizabad. It's a northeasternmost tip between the tip of Afghanistan, bordering the Himalaya Hindu Kush range, and then to the Chinese, and then the Tajikistan border. So that was there. The one what you see on the left side, that's one of my favorite. Both are from my favorite countries where I've spent some amazing time. The one on where you see me with my bag is in Somalia.
Somalia.
I think that was in 2014, if I remember. Yeah, 2014 when I was there in Somalia. Yeah.
So these are special, charter flights for humanitarian aid services on
These are
UN.
UN flights. These are
Okay.
UN or Red Cross flights, which basically takes people who work on the humanitarian work, and this used to be our lifeline coming back to it. So when I lived in Afghanistan, we used to have these small planes used to take us to the place where we used to work and where our offices used to be. And sometimes I remember a few occasions that I was supposed to travel to Kabul, or I was supposed to come to India. Suddenly there was some fighting, or suddenly there was weather conditions were bad, and then they decided not to fly in. So basically you are completely cut off from the rest of the world. And it's the same thing
Okay.
in Somalia at the same time. Yeah.
Great. So here we go. Just a little nutshell. What are these? Back to
So,
memories before we really start the talk. Yeah.
yeah, this one was from Orissa in '99. I think 1999. Some of you would have heard or seen. There was a super cyclone in Orissa, and I was the operations manager for Oxfam, based out of Bhubaneswar. I was running the relief operations for the first 6 months. And then the person whom you see next to me was the regional manager. His name is Sri Ramappa, who's currently in Bangladesh. And then the person who's next to there is someone who's my Guruji, who's my mentor, because of whom I'm here, whatever I am. His name is A.M. Joseph. He used to work for Oxfam, and he recruited me as a, how do you say, as a young boy who didn't know what I was looking for. And he crafted me in various ways, and is very special to me, my family, to everyone.
Okay.
And the picture on the left is in Afghanistan, and that was in a place called Talakon. And the person who Sam, you may want to go back, and he's very special. His name is Dr. Fushanji. He's a doctor by profession, but he was my finance manager when I worked there.
Okay.
And he used to be the personal doctor for the Afghan national hero, late Ahmad Shah Massoud, who was the commander for Northern Alliance. So he used to be his personal doctor, and then he worked for me. And he's very special. Right from the time I've gone there, even today, he's very much in touch with me. He has made sure on so many occasions that I'm safe and sound. Nothing happens to me. Even I went back in 2008. I remember my wife was quite worried when I said I'm going back. And she called him, and he called back and said, like, don't worry, I will make sure that I pick Ganesh from the airport and be there with him till I put him back on a plane. He will come home safe. So he's very special to me.
Wow. So what about these two? One on the beach somewhere.
So this one is the farthest place I've gone. That is in Colombia, where I was there in 2008. And then this one is Sierra Leone. It's a West African country which faced Ebola 2-3 years ago. It's a beautiful beach. Very, very few people will know such a beautiful beach exists there. And it's it takes you almost like 4 hours to go to the beach from where you are. But that's a very special place to me, Sierra Leone.
So you also helped on the Ebola mission in Sierra Leone?
No, I was not there. No, this was way before. This was in 2006 and 2007. So that was the time post-war rehabilitation. So after the Civil War rehabilitation.
Let's come back to India, basics. Yeah.
So this is where this is my the village where I was born. It's Kurchi.
Mhm.
It's in deep south. It's very special because you could see my wife and my boy and me there, and that's the house I was born. Where my grandparents were living. What 43 years ago I was born in that house. Unfortunately, the house is still there, and we knew the family who are still there. And then this temple is very special because this is a Ganesha temple, and I'm named after this Ganesha god. So
Oh, that's how it came
that's a
around. Ganesh
special,
Ram.
yeah.
Okay. Can you just tell something about your school? Where you did your LKG in the village? Yeah.
So this was the first school I went in, Mahatma Gandhi Matriculation School, where I did my the LKG to I think year three. I studied there. Yeah, where I was born in Ambasamudram, and then it's next town, the bigger town to Kurchi, and this is the school where I started my early years. And it's very special. It has come in various movies, in Tamil movies actually, the whole street and the school and everything. But this was something we shot when I took my family there a few years ago.
Yeah. We can see you there in front of the gate. Was it an
Yeah,
English medium those days or Tamil medium?
it was an English medium school. Yeah, it was
Wow.
English medium.
Back days. Yeah. Good. What is this? I know you love this. Those houses.
food
These are,
is food is part of my life. So the one what you see on the left side dosa is that one from South Sudan.
uh-huh.
So wherever I've gone, I've always found Indian food, or I make Indian food, or I have this what do you call, like, I follow the food. So the one on the smaller one was in South Sudan in 2015 during the war, civil war, and there was somebody was making a dosa, so I ended up going to his place and enjoyed the dosa. And this one is from Botswana, in a place city called Gaborone. Very nice dosa though.
So anywhere in the world you go, my dear friends, those is there. All right. What
Absolutely.
about this Australia?
This was in 2017, actually, June 2017. The famous Opera House and, Sydney Bridge,
Yeah.
my sixth continent visit, and achieved, went there in when I turned 40, which was very special
Wow.
to me.
Okay. What about this one?
I don't remember where was it.
Hmm.
That's a good question.
Where it should be
Probably
in
somewhere,
Europe?
maybe Switzerland, or yeah, I think it's Switzerland.
Okay. And this is your guru. Can you just tell something about your mentor?
Yeah, so he, as I said earlier, his name is Joseph, and he's from Bangalore actually, and he has traveled almost equivalent to me or a little bit more. I don't know whether he keeps account of it, but we have been to almost to most countries where we both have worked, or maybe a little bit different. But he recruited me, and. I was a 20-year-old, 19, 20-year-old, just after a university. Worked with him in Latur in Maharashtra. That's where I met him. An amazing journey. No words to express. I can speak for hours and days together for it. And this was very special. This was my like most recent country being. It's a place called Riga, capital of a country called Latvia. It's one of those Baltic Republic countries. I went there in 2019, but this was more for a holiday rather than work or anything. But I really absolutely loved it, and this is special because that's if I look back myself after that, I've traveled between Geneva and London few times. But in terms of the overseas international travel, I don't think I've been to any other country after Latvia. I had some plans, but due to COVID and other issues, I haven't traveled anywhere else.
Yeah. I know this is your favorite quotation, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. We don't meet people by accident. Everyone is meant to cross our path for a reason. Why is this your favorite quotation?
Uh, it's interesting, Sam, because like we can start from you and we can go down the line, and depending on how much
We'll
time
we'll
you have.
park it. We'll park it for the discussion. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Good. And just two more to go, then we go for our
I think this is in Colombia again.
Colombia.
When I was there in 2008, probably
Uh,
7 or 8.
Colombia. And this one.
This is very special. This is the river Amazon, the famous Amazon River,
Mhm,
and this was Belam. They call it as a mouth of Amazon.
mhm.
I was there where the World Social Forum took place. So it was that special moment to be there. It's a beautiful place, and Brazil, that's Brazil.
This Brazil. Yeah. The most happening people there. Yeah.
Happening people, football,
Okay.
everything. You
So
name it.
we'll even give your email at the end again. So let's stop this one now and go to one of the important thing which we're going to see here today is these are the list of countries which Ganesh Ramachandran sir from a village in India, he could travel to these many countries. I hope it's visible to the audience. Switzerland in the year 2000, Slovenia, Kosovo, and even some of the countries which I just learned only after I got this Excel sheet. All right, to be honest with you. All right. And everyone wants to go to the US, big, big countries, but you see how his profession and come here. The context was to rehabilitate, to bring humanitarian back to normal, to serve the community, to make people's life more better. Right? If this can be a passion of Ganesh Ramachandran sir, who is now an international humanitarian person, you know, getting all the way to UN projects. I don't know. All right. This just list goes on. I want the audience to please make a note of it. All right. Serbia, Greece, Albania, Bulgaria, Germany, Netherlands. The year also is there. Yeah. Belgium, Australia, United Kingdom, Uzbekistan. So I think so. It's good that people can just read it on the screen and just go slowly. And we're just setting a context to the text of a discussion now. So these are the number of countries. And I'm sure, sir, your passport will be, a souvenir of bulk, like a big textbook. All
Yeah, I
right.
wish I think it's like 5 books or something
I
like that,
book.
but
Okay.
unfortunately, it's all in my apartment
Geneva.
in Geneva. Otherwise, I would have shown you
Good, good.
some of them, but it's over there. Yeah,
So, okay. Latvia is in which continent?
it's Baltic. It's what do you call? It's Europe.
Okay.
You can call like a farther Europe. It's next to. It's the bordering of Russia, and this side the bordering with Scandinavia.
Okay, sir. So, list of countries, year of travel, more than 2 months, less than a month, and the context. Now, the context is amazing. You see, support Sudan crisis, post-war, tsunami, post-war crisis. All right. If somebody can work like this, I'm sure. All right. So, sir, thank you so much for your, we just got a, just a few. And I'm sure, audience, when you have seen a person with a passion, the moral of the whole talk today is just about a young boy, a village boy with a passion who was never ever dreamt of even reaching a flight. So, sir, could you just tell us a little bit about your schooling, and then what did you study, and a little bit about your Calcutta life, yeah, and then let's come to your job and your passion and your questions.
So, as I mentioned, that I grew up in early years were in deep Tamil Nadu, Kallai Ambasamudram, Tirunelveli, where I am originally from. And I was brought up by my grandparents. So, grandparents, my aunt, my mom's sister, because my parents were living closer to Chennai. Due to various family reasons, I decided to stay back at a very early stage with my grandparents. So I had an amazing village life. I still remember it. Even when I went recently back to Tirunelveli like 2 years ago, I can go back to the Kalade Kurchi. I remember each corner of the street. So it's very wonderful and it's fantastic. Then we moved to Madras, where I grew up. I did my schooling in Madras until the 12th, and those years were amazing. And just wanted to say, you mentioned about all my journey, about all the countries and everything, but something to really when I look back myself to talk about it is the early years are so important in your life. Dreaming. Yes, I do remember looking at the flights, through the skies, standing down. When I lived in Madras, I remember whenever I've gone on a train. I'm sure all the people during my years of life would have done the same feeling. You go on an electric train, pass through the Minambakam airport,
Yeah.
your jaws will open up and say, "Hey, one day can I go there?" And you have so many memories to talk about it. But the couple of things which is important, for me to say, you might have heard, like, I grew up in Madras, and yesterday was day before yesterday was Madras Day. For me, it's still Madras. I know people call it Chennai, but for me, it's still Madras. I tell people I'm from Madras, and that's the kind of an emotion and things attached to it for me. And the the early years, I learned a lot from my grandfather who brought me up. Unfortunately, he passed away when I was 15 years old, but he gave me so much insights, and the values what he taught me was amazing. And what I am today, the backbone when I look back, is what I picked up from my grandfather and my grandmother. The second person who played a huge role is my uncle. My family knows it. Who brought me up. Very humble and a simple man. I learned a lot. Some of the things, when whether my wife or my colleagues who talk about it, what I have, those are the things I've learned from him. How do you respect people, you build relationship. Even if you go back today, in some parts of Madras, like the place called West Mambalam or Tinagar, everybody knows my uncle. And it's not because what he does, for his humbleness, for his belief and honesty, and that was very much implanted on me. And he gave me opportunities in his own way, created space for me to go and try out. At the age of 10 and 12, I used to go in a bus in Chennai, in Madras those times, when people hardly go out that freely. I've traveled on a train from Madras to Calcutta at the age of 14 and 15, just all alone. No fear, nothing. I used to go and come back home. So those were that confidence, the self confidence and the drive was always there. And in that journey, it always somewhere in me kind of helped me that I want to do something different rather than doing the traditional one. Of course, coming in from Madras, everybody wants to do the either an engineering or a medical.
Medical.
But I didn't score. Let me be very honest with you, Professor Sam. I'm not one of those 90 plus students. I scored 84 or something in my plus two. That's the one. And even today, my aunt and others tells me, like, wish you spend more time, you'd have scored more. But it's hard, that's what you could do. So it was hard for me to get the engineering. I didn't try engineering because that was not my cup of tea. I wanted to do BSc computer science or something around it. But unfortunately, to the marks and where I stand, there was a big capitation fee or whatever you call it. And but by then there was a spark which made me feel like, I want to do things of myself. I don't want to be dependent on anybody. Let me do things differently. It's not going to be easy, but let me look at it. And that took me to Calcutta. Where one of my mom's elder sister was living there, and I used to visit there quite frequently. So somewhere there was some kind of an affiliation, so which took me there. I went there to study my bachelor's in commerce. For 84%, I got the seat without any issues. I got it.
Okay.
But one of the things of going to Calcutta was not just about going and studying in a college, but is also to be independent, able to explore myself, able to learn it. So I took a job, went into it. So I used to do an evening college and worked during the day. Started in a small shop, learned some. I had a luxury of electronic, typing and computers, which helped me when I was asked whether I know whether I could try a
Typewriting.
electronic typing. I said yes, I can do. That confidence. That goes back to what I would give credits to my uncle.
So let's come back. You went from Chennai at the age of 14 to Calcutta
For holidays.
for holidays, yeah, and then it's to come back. But when you went for your undergraduation, the audience should very clearly know It was hard. It's very hard. Language is a problem. Finance was a challenge. So Ganesh Ramachandran was working in a small shop during the day, and exactly before evening college starts, evening get back to the work. All right. Work in the morning, evening college. Work in the morning, evening college. And that's how did you manage language there? Because you're from Tamil Nadu, you might have gone to Calcutta. So can you tell about that work? And it's not about a big job and a small job, but you did it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's language was it was not that difficult for me to start with because in the school you learn Hindi, but of course it's a bookish Hindi
Hmm.
and then what is spoken Hindi. Those are two different Hindi. But those days you also can easily what do you call tuck in to say you are a Madrasi, right? So
Hmm,
the
hmm.
moment they know you are a Madrasi, your Hindi is kind of chalega,
Yeah.
like it's okay, kind
Hmm,
of.
hmm.
So it's not a big issue. Bengali was a little bit of a challenge, but I love learning languages. I can speak little. Even today, I can greet people in almost 7 to 8 international languages.
Wow.
So that's something which really helped me to do that, to slowly pick it up. But the journey in Calcutta was really interesting. I say to people whom they know, in Madras gave me the self confidence where I grew up, what I did. Calcutta shaped me to what I am today.
Mhm.
So it's the today what I think about humanity today, what I do is what I learned from Calcutta. Calcutta is a city of joy where
Yeah.
people the whole humanitarian concept is there in the DNA or even in the air in Calcutta.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are not, of course, everybody wants to look after themselves, but then helping people is the first thing, and I have been blessed in that way. When I lived in Calcutta, I had an amazing people who were there with me, my extended families, but more than that, I would say I have some amazing friends, and couple of them who did so much, helped me during the phase. Like, as you just said, working in the morning, going to the college in the evening and studying. And, at the most, I could do 3 periods, not more than that. I'll be
Yeah.
tired.
Mm.
But fortunately, I come across, I think this is where your slide goes back, is there are reasons why people come in your life. I
Yes.
do have a friend, I don't know how to say it, I struggle. A friend, my sister, or well-wisher, or my mentor, or anyone. There is someone called, I don't have a picture to show. Her name is Jayashri Ishwaran.
Good.
She's extremely talented, super smart, and well qualified. But she was my backbone, and she used to take classes for me after finishing her work at night, from 9:30 till midnight, to get me prepared for the exam. And she's been an amazing support, inspiration then and even today. And she was someone. So I had the luxury of people who were able to provide me
Mold you,
support,
craft you.
guide me. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And Ganesh sir, nowadays the present generation of youth and the students, they feel that work means work in a big posh place where AC is going 360-degree. But you chose to work in a small shop in Calcutta, which is giving you daily wages. You also went through struggle. Could you tell us what was your job? What was the job? And then through that you earned money and then you were studying in the evening college. What was the job? So that audience will know.
So it was a job. It's a very, very good job in some ways those days. Because today, for example, I think it's an interesting context to see in India in today's youth. Most people are, at least 50% of India's youth have got a computer or
Hmm.
they have got access to a smartphone. Those days, computers were not in everyone's reach. You're talking about 20% of the population used to have it,
Hmm.
and they were relied on, I don't know whether it still exists, they used to call STD,
Both.
ISTPC slash
Phone
photocopying,
call. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
Xerox and typing and DT, digital,
DTP center.
yeah. so it was one of those shops. So that is where I went to do. And my role was those days was to, people couldn't afford to type and take a printout in the computers. They will go for an electronic typewriter. So I was, typing those letters for them, and doing that. So that's what I started. And then while I was there, I had learning aptitude to do computers and everything. So slowly started learning how different things operate, and kept myself adding as many things as possible. And that carve of always being there was, it goes back to it, whether it's a dream or whether it's your drive in you, was about, okay, how can I learn more, what can I do to what do you call, upskill myself, what can I learn from it. It's kind of, my, I think it's my grandfather, or I don't remember who, I think it's my grandfather who said, whenever I used to go back to him and say, hey, I want to do this, and I will get nervous at that time. And he says, like, just take it simple. Apologies, pardon my word for using it. He used to tell me, take your hair and try to pull your mountain. If it comes, it's a mountain. If it goes, it's your hair, and your hair will grow. So
That's
it's his philosophy was, if you're not going to try, you're not going to get it. You just need to keep trying. And that was the kind of approach. Everything I tried, there was failure was, if I fail, I'll try again. It's kind of easier. And there wasn't, when I look back today, it could be two possibilities, right? One is, uh, it's a survival for the fittest. I have to do
yeah.
it because I've left my home. I said to my parents, I took 1,000 rupees from my father and said, thank you very much. I'll see you in some years' time. To my uncle who brought me up for so many years, I said, no, I don't want to live in Madras. I want to go to some other place. And who was ready to look after me for, you know, even today, if I go to him, I wanted he will do it for me. That kind of my uncle is in Madras. Then I have gone. So it's also your own personal, ego or personal stand that you want to succeed. So that was a drive which helped it. But yeah, so that was my time. But as I started, after a year, I met few friends in my college who turned to me and said, hey, you are so smart, why don't you come and give an interview in the place where I am going to work? I'm doing a part-time job, you want to come? So I went into that was the time in India, the outsourcing of banks started. Like
Okay.
Citibank started outsourcing their marketing and department to
Which year was
external
it
people.
roughly?
It was 1997.
Okay. Okay.
No, sorry, 1995. Yeah, 1995, 96,
Around
not
96.
97,
Yeah, 95.
95. So that was outsourcing time. So I got an opportunity to go and work for them. That was a great opportunity where I was able to earn more, little bit more, but also able to meet other people to know what was happening. And that drive was there. But at the same time, it's you living alone. I left my uncle's place, living alone. You cannot, with the money, your education and everything, you cannot afford it. So you had to do other things, but at the same time, not to lose focus on my bachelor's,
It,
because that was important.
yeah.
Because it's very clear that the job is important, but at the same time, for me, the priority is bachelor's, because if I don't do that, I'm going to struggle at a later stage. It's kind of struggling balance. And as I said, I was lucky to have some amazing friends like Jayashree. I'm sure she will see it at one day. Big gratitude to her and her family. Even today when I think of it, there are so many nights her mom has fed me dinner, and not even a single time when I've gone to their places I've left empty stomach. So those are some amazing moments which gave me the kind of positivity, gave me that thought in me that it's not just about me, it's about what I can share with others. That kind of a concept helped me, and which is what still drives my passion moving forward.
Wow. And I want to tell you, audience, wherever you're watching this from, it was not easy for Ganesh Ramachandran. He's just telling a little side of it. He struggled, he worked. There were days, challenges for the food, but he never gave up. And the beauty is working to survive for academics and focusing on academics because that is going to take more. So just can you tell us what program did you did in Calcutta, your undergraduation?
It's a bachelor's in commerce.
So doing a bachelor in commerce and going to 66 countries, my dear audience, make a note of it. We have that phobia, engineering, doctor, agriculture, PhD, nothing wrong. But still there is a person in front of us today, a bachelor's in an evening college, working day to meet his ends. So can you just take us your journey? It was all in Calcutta, finished undergrad, then you landed up in Maharashtra, in Latur, where it was an earthquake disaster. Yeah. So that was the first
So
job. How did the transition happen?
It's interesting what you say, like, and I will just go back to it. It's important, but you also need to have a focus around it. Yes, I did my BCom. I didn't do engineering because maybe I was not, but still I follow technology even today in my life. But after the BCom, natural thing is you have to do chartered
MCOM.
accountancy or cost accountant or something, right? But then I was doing my articleship. I started doing it, but it just got something in me was not. I was not getting my happiness at the end of the day. Something was bothering me. I didn't get what I was looking for. So one evening, I went into one of my uncle's office who used to work for Oxfam. I went in the notice board. I saw an advertisement in Latur, and it was for a 6 months job to be working as a I think admin officer or a finance officer or something to on the earthquake rehabilitation program. So I took it and then I asked them, what is this, what is about, and said, like, are you interested? I said, yeah. Okay, fine. Give us your CV, we'll send it to you, and if they like you, it's between you and the team. So I sent in. 1 week later, I got a quick call, and then they said to me, okay, come. So I left everything. I started packing my things in Calcutta, where I kind of settled and everything. And just decided to go to, because I felt like I want to do something different. It didn't stop me. I just took my bags and traveled to Nagpur, and then from Nagpur took a train, drove down a bus to Latur overnight, and
Mhm.
then from Latur to a small village called Lahota. And it's a village where Oxfam was building 183 houses for the people who
Okay.
lost their houses. So I was based there. So from Calcutta to just over a night, you just went into a
Hmm.
tiny village. It was
From the
interesting.
from the east exactly to the west, and Latur is on the west, exactly on the border of North Karnataka, where people should know. And Ganesha, can you tell the audience one question? Everybody wants to work in a bank, posh place, and you chose to work for the people who are downtrodden, who have been affected, who have been lost. Why did you get this humanitarian thing in your mind? Why didn't you choose a corporate life?
Okay, so I'll tell you this, and this is the reality. So when I worked in Calcutta, like everybody, I wanted to have the amazing life, like working for a big company and able to fly and able to do a how do you say able to have a big car, or whatever you call it. So that's what. But somewhere I wanted to do something different because I was not having that kind of thought process when I lived in Calcutta, because I didn't feel, I did work for one of the top auditing firms in India, and I was involved in the capital markets, working on the what do you call the GDP those days, what do you call GDR, global depository receipts, raising funds and share capital, auditing of Shaw Wallace, Brillas and others. So I was working in the auditing side of that one. But somewhere this whole thing took me a different journey. So I went down to Latur thinking that, okay, let me do something different. I can be very honest, and the first week was fantastic, right? You go there, you live in beautiful, brilliant. I'm alone in a village, which is great.
Hmm.
On a Saturday, everything was perfect. Every day, my guru, whom I was telling you, Ladud, he used to call me. He was still in Bangalore. He will call me to check in. How am I doing?
Mm.
Got a call. How are you doing? Yeah, everything is okay. Good. Okay, keep the phone fine. We get into the Sunday. It's important. You need to notice it. I get into the Sunday.
Mm.
Um, the electricity goes off. So I don't speak the language. It's Marathi. Nobody speaks Hindi. So I
Mm.
asked the villager who looks after the house and say, "Hey, what happened? When will the light come?"
Mm.
It'll come today,
Mm.
tomorrow, or next week. We don't know. Okay. Do we have a generator? Yeah, we have generator, but we can run for 1 hour. That's the diesel we have got. I said, okay,
Mm.
fine. So I keep quiet, continues. Next week starts, working in a village, early morning, you have to go walk outside
How did
the
how
people
did you
was
manage language? Because you never know anything
very
about
tough.
Marathi.
Hands, explaining them. That's what
All
the life
body
of
language. Yeah.
body language.
Mm.
So the week two goes. I thought, okay, it was great. Think about, I had an amazing life in Calcutta. Saturday night going out with all my friends and everybody. I did enjoy it, no doubt about it. So I had a wonderful time. And then I sit in the, outside the camp, and then I was waiting for a call to come because every Saturday I get this call, waiting.
Mm.
Nothing happened. So I go down to the phone at 7:30 at night. I take the old, this is the old phone, not the mobile
Yeah,
phone, the
yeah,
old phone. Yeah. I take it, and then I
yeah.
slowly silent,
Mm.
complete silent. So I was shocked, like, what is this? So I go back to the same guy. I like, what happened to the phone? And he says, phone
चला गया.
finished. Like, so that's it. And ironically, 6 months later, the phone started working. So the phone was gone. That's it. So throughout the time I stayed there, it never worked. But it was a hardship because language was difficult, food was very difficult. Even though I lived, I mentioned about the food, what I carry everywhere. Coming from South India, curd is a must for me.
Yeah,
I was not
you have
eating
an
the curd.
interesting story about curd rice. You need to tell
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, so we don't get a curd there. So I don't know what happened, and this is what my I can share with you. Complete. That night, I said, you know what? I don't want to be here. Why? I have left everything from Calcutta. I had an amazing life. Yes, I was earning less. Yes, I was not happy with what I was doing. I was not getting something on, but this is not what I want. I don't want to live in a tiny, teeny village doing this one. Let me pack my bags and let me go back. So that night, I packed everything inside that room. It was a stone asbestos sheet room. Packed everything, all set, ready to go. Even today, if you ask me, I don't know what happened that night.
Mm.
I, I felt like if I'm going to run today, I'm
Mm.
going to always run from things and let me
Mm.
see what does it mean and let me carry on. And that
Wow.
was the drive and that was the passion. And it's what, 24 years, 23 years now. I'm still
Wow.
going through. And that whole, as I started feeling in me that happiness, that satisfaction started coming in, and thanks to my mentor who brought me up those part and say, okay, think about what you are contributing, what you are doing, and how you are adding value.
Mm.
And it just became like addiction. It just became like my life today. And when you are able to see that something, I still remember in when we were finishing that the project, the 183rd house what we are building was for a widow, and it was just a one room, and the whole concrete, the top concrete what you do, it was done by all the staff. I stood up and I said to the everybody and say, you know what, we have done this project, we have been here for longer, we should give something back to them.
Mm.
And then they all looked at me, it's like, what do we do? Let's be the bill today, we are all going to be the laborers. The laborers are all going to be our bosses.
Wow.
And we lifted, my hands, my other colleagues hands were all burnt, like, all
Right.
the stains and everything, but we built that roof, that particular one. And that, when you are able to do it, you are able to see the smile in them. There is
Mm.
nothing like it, and nothing like it. And then, when you look at the thing what you go today, you are able to travel, you have a good life, and still you are able to make a difference. What more? And in that journey you are able to make a difference, and that's what has keep me going, and that was a drive which has been taking me a long way. And there is so much gratitude to that whole journey aspect of it. And from
So,
there, the journey of, you worked in Latur. From Latur, it's like as I said to you, it's an addiction, right? You want action, you want to be in the line, front line, to really able to do. From there I got moved into Jabalpur. From Jabalpur I went into here. So it just became like, kind of and then I started dreaming big, like I want to go and work in a war zone, I want to work in a conflict zone. So it was difficult, because when you apply for jobs those days, people know there are humanitarian people working in India, but then opportunities were not that much, and people were not too sure them to be the first person giving you the opportunity. So there used to be interviews. I've applied for like 40, 50 jobs, 20 interviews, perfect phone interviews, and then I will get a feedback and say, you did really well, but you have never worked outside India.
oh,
And then I used to say, if you're not going to give me an opportunity, how am I going to get it?
okay. All
And
right.
then people used to tell me, it's a challenging, you need to understand it. But when I look back today, yes, it's different. Working from outside of your country is not that easy, and especially in those conflict places, it's a quite a challenging. But it's about how do you build those skills, and how do you drive your passion.
So, my dear audience, you see here, Mr. Ganesh Ramachandran worked in villages across India, but had a passion that I need to make it to an international level. And now we are all in situations of COVID, in a challenging situation. But when the world was cool, all right, Ganesh sir chose to work for the war zone areas, war-torn people, people who are in disaster, to serve them. If he can start working and applying 30 interviews, 40 interviews, 50 interviews, and nowhere, but then he chose to work among the challenging situations. So if this message, now we are all in challenging situations. If Ganesh sir from a Tamil Nadu village can go and apply working in small villages to 66 countries he has traveled now, and his dream was one day I should work in United Nations. And there he is at a top position. There he is at Geneva. All right. And that's a message of each of you, whether you're hearing live or you're hearing offline, if we can get this, you know. So before we go a little further, because we're going to go now from India to your international journey. All right. I also know a little bit when we're doing your homework on your biography and your work, you used to walk to your college to save money so that you can have affordable food. My audience, Mr. Ganesh used to walk to the college when others were having bus or bikes, because he could save that money to have food. And I'm sure whoever you're watching this, by listening to the story, if you're still not able to make it up, all right, it's a challenge. Ganesh, could you just tell us a little bit why you used to walk those days? What is the message? What was the challenge? An honest talk.
Well, the challenge was very simple. I didn't have enough money to feed myself and do what I have to do.
Mm.
So you have to find a way to live within what you have got, right? So with the money what I had in my pocket, I had to take two buses to the place where I used to live. So I didn't have enough. So if I have to do it, then I cannot have a snack or a dinner on that day. So
Mhm.
instead, I will do a one-way walk, which is like 4 kilometers or something, and then take a
Four
bus.
kilometers
Yes,
in Calcutta.
Calcutta. So, and then I used to go back in another bus to where I used to live. So, it was fun, because thanks to some creative friends and who knew what I was going through, and they would do it in such a way that they never made me feel like I'm going through some struggle. So there have been moments where I mentioned about those friends who have been there. They will come with me in the evening. Hey, I'm just nearby. Why don't I join you? Let's all walk back together.
Wow.
So those are the kind of people who never made me feel like maybe that's something I'm lacking in my life, but is kind of able to do that one. So yeah, it was. It was interesting, but it taught me a lot. It's about, you mentioned about it, about my passion today and what I'm doing it. It's also about able to live with what you have got, and within that, how much you can give it for others.
Yeah.
That whole story about the, uh, you know, if you could add value to somebody, if you could contribute for somebody's, there is nothing more than that one. And it's not, I haven't done anything big in my life, but what I'm doing it is what people have done to me. There are so many other people who have done that to me, and I'm just passing on to them. So that's been my life's learning for me today.
Now, if that message, if all the audience can take it, just be happy with what you have, do something with what you have, and create opportunity to make opportunities for others. And that's what Mr. Ganesh Ramachandran was doing. So, sir, let's come now from India. You've struggled, and your vision was you need to work in UN. Those days, I'm sure people will think, are you crazy? Are you mad? All right, because you never went out of India. Yeah. So, can you just tell us your first story of where you got first landed up from India? What was the first country? And I also know that you struggled a lot in Kabul, in Afghanistan. And from there, you just take us through the power of having an Indian passport. The power of
Yeah,
having an Indian passport.
that's an interesting experience to share. This was in May 2000. 2000. Actually, it's 20 years ago.
Exactly, 20 years ago.
Exactly 20
Wow.
years ago, around this moment, I was
Was it
in.
your first international flight?
That was my first international travel. So
Okay,
first international travel, a blank Indian passport. Those days, getting a passport is tricky, not
difficult.
like
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And you have a one visa, and I had one visa that was for where I live now. It's Switzerland. So my first landing was Switzerland. So that was my first visa on my passport. I didn't know that destiny comes back. So now I live in Switzerland. So I landed in Switzerland, and then I had to take a flight to go from Switzerland to Slovenia.
Hmm.
And this one is very interesting. It's kind of part of, comes back to the earlier one you asked, like there are reasons why people come in your life.
Yeah.
My first trip, I land in Zurich airport. I walk out, I don't speak any language, I don't see any Indians around me.
Hmm.
And then I go into the shop to have some coffee, because I had 4 hours layover, to
Hmm.
get some coffee or something to eat. I
Hmm.
look at everything has got meat, chicken, beef,
Yeah.
no, nothing called vegetarian. And I
Okay.
try to ask them vegetarian, vegetables. They just showed me a carrot and say, like, you want a carrot. That's what they understood. So that get finished, and then I say, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Then I walk past, and I went to the restroom, and I come out. And then in the corner of one of those corners, in those, in every airport, you see a corner where the trolleys are kept, and
Yeah.
the internal one, and that. There's a man who was sitting there. His name is Shankar. And he looked at me and said, like, come over. I
He's
just go to him.
An Indian there in the airport.
Indian from Bombay, but from Tamil Nadu, but from Bombay, and who was on the way to the US.
Hmm.
And he said, come over, come over. And I just said, okay. And then he looked at me and said, like, are you from India? I said, yeah, I'm from India. Which part of India? I said, okay. Where are you traveling? I said, I'm going to Kosovo. Where is that Kosovo? I said, it's in Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia. Ah, okay. So then he said, what time is your flight? I said, my flight is at 11 o'clock, and we were at 7:30. Okay, have a seat. And then I sat next to him. And then he put his hand inside his bag, and then he took a small packet, and he gave it to me and said, help yourself. And I said, no, I'm good, thank you. And he said to me, no, I know you must be hungry. Have it. I said, like, no, sir, thank you very much. I'm fine. Because I don't know him. You don't talk to strangers. You don't take anything from strangers. That's what we have thought. And then he said to me that it's okay, Ganesh, just have it. It's just some food from India. And I know you will be hungry. And I have been in this situation many times. So have it. And as he opened the box, it was idli. I couldn't resist it. So I just went on and just finished it.
You got idli in Switzerland airport
Airport, Zurich
by an
airport. So he brought it from India.
unknown Indian
Yeah.
who was waiting for you there
He
without
was on
any.
his way to
Yeah.
he was on his way to US, and he brought an extra bag. And I had that food and then I said thank you to him. I said, I don't know how to thank you, but I really thank you. So he turned around and said, you don't have to do anything for me, but next time when you come this way, make sure that you bring a extra pack of food and
Wow.
give it to somebody coming in from our country. And
Wow.
that's what he said to me. And then he left. And since then, every trip I have gone, I have carried food with me. And I've given to a lot of students because those was the time a lot of students used to go to study in the US, in Europe, and IT. This was 2000 to 2002. But an interesting experience for me was after 4 years or 5 years, I passed through the Zurich airport on something else, and I saw in the same corner there was somebody else who was giving it. So
Wow.
that made me feel like that tradition has been going on because maybe he
Somebody
started
has
it,
left a
somebody
mark.
else did it, but it just goes through. So it's the question of going back to what he said is about you know thinking about others. Whatever you could do, you offer. It's a good thing to do it. So it's something, it's about generosity, it's about being thankful and gratitude to people. So that was the way. But what was interesting was my first trip, as I told you, it's like a Hollywood movie, right? You want to achieve it, you have got a job and you are landing in perfect. I'm going to a post conflict country, perfect. 22-year-old, 20 23 at that time, I was 23. Super, exciting.
Yeah.
The next flight, I go from Zurich to Ljubljana, a small town in Slovenia. You can see in my list. I don't see anybody speaking any Hindi or any Tamil, nothing. All
Not
of a
even English.
sudden, only English.
Ah.
And all of a sudden, I was on the front row of this small plane. All of a sudden, I heard the word chai. And it was like my head moved like a zoom, like 360 angles, like, woo, looks like
Right.
somebody. And
Yeah.
then the crew came back and said, "Sir, do you want something?" I said, "Somebody said chai." Yeah, tea. Oh, okay. It's a universal language for tea. It's chai. That was the happy feeling for
Right.
me. And then I land in, then I have to take another flight and land in Kosovo, a capital in Pristina. My office colleague had come to pick me up. So I had a name board and everything. So that was good. Just put it in.
Hmm.
You know what is a war zone, right? And everybody, and I've read the news because I really want to go, and all those ones are great. I go in. I was sitting in my car and I was driving. We drove past the airport, coming out of the airport,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I'm coming in from India. Just next to me, there was a tank. It was
Okay.
just rolling. I was like,
The
because in
military
India you
tank.
see all the bullock cart, bicycle, bull, and everybody go.
Yeah.
There it was the tank which was just passing through. So it was an interesting experience. You used to feel, where are we? All you see, you have a checkpoint every now. As you leave, you get stopped, you get checked, and you see people walking around with an automatic weapons. It was a bit of a traumatic, but I got used to it. I enjoyed it working there.
But
uh,
in India, we see the tanks and all on the Republic Day, August 15th, TV. But
yeah,
you're just seeing
that
on the
was
road
everyday life. That was
every day,
everyday life.
every day.
Every day. So that
Okay.
was everyday life.
Then you went to your place.
Yeah, and as I started working there, as I said, my quest and my passion started increasing to work in more conflict places. And one such place was Afghanistan. So I don't know why, and it was Afghanistan. I really wanted to go after the bombing, and I started growing a beard like now.
Mhm.
But I never got an opportunity because every time I was speaking to my office and they said like, no, maybe some other country, because I've been there for 3 years. I want a new country, new experience. And then I gave up Afghanistan. I said, okay, I'm not going to go to Afghanistan. Let me think about something else. And
Mm.
then I received a call saying, Ganesh, would you like to go and work in our Afghan office for a year? I was like,
Mm.
are you serious? I said, yes. So I went to work for Afghan. That was a brilliant, one of my, if you ask me, closer to my heart, if I have done something really, really meaningful and contributed, is my work in Afghanistan. And that's my
Could you just
source.
tell us? See, that is a totally challenging situation. War country those days, everywhere military and all that. And you people from United Nations, What were you doing there?
No, it was not United Nations. It was I worked for an NGO, international
Okay.
NGO,
So what were
non-governmental
you doing there?
organization.
What were you doing there as an NGO part?
So in Afghanistan, what our organization was doing was we were constructing almost 300 tube wells, the hand pump wells.
Okay.
We reconstructed almost 100 schools for children. Then we gave employment for people in reconstructing their roads and houses and bridges. That was something we did, and also helping them to come back in their agricultural work.
And all
So
this during
those
the
are
wartime.
300, yeah, just post-war time in
Oh,
2002, 2003. The best part was the tube wells are on those places where people didn't have a clean water. There are pictures, in my home there, you'll see where they didn't have water at all. They didn't have water. Like what they were drinking was the mixed water, and they
contaminated.
were able to get a clean water. So when you see the children, when the pump tube wells are being done, all the children running around and splashing water, the happiness what you could see is nothing
Wow.
like it. That's miles apart. And
Mm.
same way, building schools where you are able to, the children are able to go into the school, even if it is made of mud bricks, and you could see them where they have not gone for many years. Their parents, their grandparents, their parents, and their brothers have not gone, and that generation going to the school is unbelievable. So those were some amazing moments when I lived in Afghanistan. And the picture what you saw, Dr. Fushanji, he was there at so many occasions. We travel together in places. We have seen security incidents. We get stopped, and it was, how do I say? It's so gratifying and satisfaction for
Could
you.
you tell your experience in Afghanistan? I'm sure you've been through that. There is bombing happening, and you are about to be. You would have got killed, but still you worked, you escaped. Still you didn't. You're still working for the people there. Can you just tell us that experience? Then go to that border where Indian passport gave you life.
See, it was, we lived in a compound. So there have been days where you could hear people getting up and firing bullets in
Mhm.
the air, just like that. You have seen, you know, buildings completely destroyed by bombing, bomb blast, windows shattering completely. I've seen that. Fortunately, our building, we survived. We didn't have any impact. There have been situations where we would be going to one city to another town, small town to another town, and suddenly two warlords will be fighting, and we get told, no, you cannot travel. So you come back. You can see the live ammunitions going through.
Oh God. Mm.
It was difficult, but the thing what I remember was, I think it was while I was working in Afghanistan, I got engaged, and I used to call my wife from there on the satellite phone. So one of those days we were fighting, we both were arguing something,
Hmm.
and suddenly she heard like a
Bomb.
fireworks, and then she asked me, what was that? Oh, there is some fighting going on there. Like what? Yeah, there is a bomb blast or something happening. And she used to like, okay, now let me cut the phone. You better go inside now. So it's kind of, it was, I don't know how to say, today when I look back and feel like everything, touch wood, nothing happened to me. I'm still, hale and healthy. But as I said, is those people with my colleagues, with my team, which made you feel happy. Like, I can proudly say that the current ambassador to of Afghanistan to Australia was my former office manager. He was one of those young people who was bright and who was part of it to go there. And and my finance officer is now the head of Ministry of Development and Industries in Afghanistan, and he used to work
Wow.
for me. I wrote his recommendation letter to go and study in the US,
Wow.
and those are people with whom I worked and who spend the day in and day at night with me, doing very well for the country. Makes you feel really happy and proud in terms of what we were able to do together.
Good, good. Can you just quickly take us through that journey of the border where you were stopped and there's a Russia border, Afghanistan, and there's a junction point there? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. So when you come from Tajikistan to Afghanistan, that's the route which you have to take those days. So the last border of the former Soviet Union, the Russia one, is Tajikistan and Afghanistan. So that border is controlled by Russians those days. This is, I'm talking about 2002.
Mm.
So when you clear the Tajikistan passport control, you just they do the passport control, and then you get handed over to the Russians, and then the Russians will take it there. And I was 23, 26 or 26-year-old guy, an Indian who hardly, those borders are hardly coming there. Um, Nobody goes there. Very few people go there. And together with a couple of other nationalities, Europeans and Americans were there. So I go there with my Indian passport, and they look at it and say, like, "Oh, Indiski," and then they immediately the Russians stood up, and he says, "Hey, Mamalani," and then Mithun Chakrabarti, and then he started standing up and dancing. I am a disco dancer. Uh,
Okay.
I was like, okay, what was happening?
A
And then,
Russian.
yeah, they
Okay.
love Indian movies. They just love Indian movies.
Okay.
They took my passport and then they put it next to it and then said, "Come." And I was like, okay, I don't speak the language. I don't know. He's calling me inside. I don't know what is going to happen. And then he takes me inside, makes me sit inside the room because outside it was almost like -2 or -3, freezing cold. They made me sit down, and it was quite nervous. And then when the other people came, he took the passport and said, "Go and sit there." And the way they treated was different. And as you know that Indian passport, you need visa to so many countries. Every country in the world, those days you need to require visa. But
Mm.
here is our passport where it's been respected amazingly. And then as everybody, and then what happens is the Russians comes and takes you, and then they put you on a barge to cross the river Amudarya to the Afghan side, and that's the border where you enter in. It's called Sher Khan Bandar. That's where you enter in. No border post or anything. It's just a hut. There are two or four soldiers with AK-47. They sit there.
Mm. Mm.
That's the border. So everybody, bags and everything is being taken in, and they are being taken to the barge. And I was just sitting there, and I got worried. Oh my God, what's happening? Am I being arrested or am I being stopped? And
Mhm.
then the commander comes to me and said, "Come, I will take you in my car." So he took me in my car, waited for everybody to board. I was the last person boarded on the plane, and he shook hands, gave me a hug, and then said, again, he went ahead and said, "Hema Malini." And I was like, okay, she's not related to me, but I don't mind today taking she's from India, so I'm happy to take that relationship. And then I went there. So it was really, and then you land on this side, the Afghans, when they look at me and they go crazy, they said, "Oh, Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, have you brought any videos of them?" So it's kind of like you could see how our Bollywood has been so interesting in those kind of a thing. But it was quite interesting. And those are moments where I used to feel so privileged and happy to travel with the Indian passport. The amount of respect what we used to get was amazing.
So there you go. You had an American, you have Canadians, others, plus Indian. But your passport, they saw you and they said Bollywood and everything. So it speaks, huh? Our Bollywood is like huge throughout the world.
Hollywood. So the places where I have been, this is in 2000. Now, of course, everybody knows about India. We are in the different world, the social media, everybody knows. But I can tell you there are like three or four, our many old generations, people know. Everybody knows in the world Mahatma Gandhi. Everybody knows Indira Gandhi, no doubt about it. In the former Soviet side, of course, Raj Kapoor, M.M. Malani, and others. But then
Wow.
if you go towards West Africa and Colombia and all those places, people know about some of our programs. I
Mm.
don't know whether Sam, you might have heard it, but maybe it's my generation. We used to have a program called the quiz master called Siddhartha Basu.
Doordarshan.
Doordarshan. So those people have watched that program. So people know
Wow.
that night in and day out.
From India, they used to work there.
Yeah, they used to get telecasted, and those are the things what they have translated and watched it. So people used to quote me all those stories. The other part, which used to be really fascinating, was in lots of those places, the teachers, especially the max teachers, are
Mm.
from India. So
Oh,
a lot of my colleagues, even today, they say they have been taught their max is so good because they learned from Indian teachers who came from India to teach them. Whether you go to East Africa or West Africa, most of the places the teachers were from India, and so that has a great kind of respect, and also they value us. The moment when they see your name and say, "Oh, he knows numbers, so don't worry about it. You can trust him." So that's also another kind of what is a flagship for Indianness in that part of the world.
wow. So let me just share this screen with you so that people can know where you're talking about. Yeah. So is this the one where you were? Okay, this is Afghanistan, and where is Tajikistan? Here,
No, no, here. No, no, here. You have to come down.
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 Okay, there's Kabul.
You see that Kunduz? That is where
Kunduz,
I used to
yeah.
live.
Oh,
That's
you
where
used to live here.
I used to live there. But then if you go a little bit, zoom that Kunduz area, little bit more
I
zoom on
will.
that one.
Yeah, there.
No, little
More.
bit more zoom. Can you zoom it a little bit?
Yeah, that's Kunduz.
No, but if you could do little bit more Kunduz there.
I guess we
Yeah.
can.
And you see Talakan. No. Talakan.
Upper, should I?
And if you zoom out a little bit, you'll see a place called Talakan.
Ah, here on the right, here,
Yeah,
Talakan.
Talakan. Yeah, I lived in Talakan, and Talakan is a very famous and a historical place. I would like to say to you, Marco Polo, the famous adventurer, he was there in Talakan many centuries ago.
Wow.
So that's a very special part. But then the border I was telling you was if you go, you see that Imam Sahib on the
Yeah,
top.
Imam Sahib, this one.
Yeah. That river, that you see that that
Yeah,
lane, and
yeah,
that is the border between Afghanistan and Tajikistan, and
yeah.
that is called River Amudariya,
Okay.
and that's where you need to cross. So the first time when I went, I crossed it from this part of Afghanistan, where you see not the Imam Sahib, Sher Khan Bandar. You see the Sher Khan Bandar?
Yeah.
That's the checkpoint. Yeah.
Okay. So there we go. So that is Afghanistan. From India, you went
2002.
here and then used to go here. So as you have to fly back. Yeah. Oh goodness.
Where? No. It's all road. Those
All
days were all
road.
road.
Only road.
Between Talakan and Kunduz Road, and also uh, a very interesting fact. People who are in from India, they know,
Hmm.
and South India, they know what I'm talking about. I've also gone on top of a donkey for a few miles because
Donkey.
because in some part of that belt
Hmm.
where there are a lot of landmines and unexploded arms were there,
Oh,
so the vehicle cannot go through. Even though you have got an anti-mine blanket, you cannot go through. So there have been occasions where I have sat on a donkey and I've gone. And I remember it when I was a young, I used to get told, if I don't study well, the only thing I can do is I can breed donkeys. But here I am in Afghanistan, donkeys, I was riding donkeys, which I fulfilled some people's, what do you call,
wow.
blessings, I would say.
Good. And that's such a fantastic thing, don't you think so? Yeah. You give your entire heart, soul, and mind to empower people where things were under a huge challenge. Can you just take us through a little journey from all this Afghanistan and your work in the Wat Road to Sudan? I'm sure you worked in Sudan, South Sudan, Sudan, and that's when the whole world was like, there's nothing once upon a time there, and people were dying, and there was, you name a calamity, it's there. How did you think to go and work in Sudan when the whole work wants pleasure and posh countries? Can you tell some stories of your Africa and your
See,
journey?
Africa is very closer to heart. It's not just Sudan, Somalia, South Sudan, Uganda, Kenya, you name it. It's a fascinating continent. I love it. People are amazing people, um, and the need is humongous. They are very honest, closer to heart. and the challenges what they have gone through are unbelievable. And but within that, what I really admire and what I learn is the resilience. I talk about resilience. It's about I have I have built my resilience working, meeting people from Africa, and living that way life in building my resilience. It's like, you talked about some of my early years of struggle, but that's nothing when compared to what people have gone through there. And I know people from that part of the world who are doing amazingly well and who have contributed a lot, and that is makes you feel you can do more. And I never felt in any of those countries when I worked there, I never felt like it was a job for me. I
Mm,
always felt I was just living my life. I was able to, learn something from them. I was able to help them, passing on my experiences, what I learned from my mentors, and it was it was very special. And I know it's also over the years what I could see which helped me was able to understand the reality. Able to being there on the ground is different to what you do from any head office, right? You can sit in a city and you can tell why the vegetables didn't grow well, but then when
mm,
you go and do the farm the vegetables, then you will understand the pain and the process what you go there. So it's kind of easy to throw at a stone when you're sitting in the glass door kind of a feeling. So
yeah.
from that perspective, when you visit those countries, when you are part of them, you are
Mm,
able to understand the challenges what they are going through. And and in that context, you turn around and look back and say, hey, do I want to be a prejudice to say that it's a problem, nothing is working? Or do I hold hands with them and say, okay, what can we do with what we have got? How can we overcome this? We cannot solve everything, but if we can solve at least something, we'll be able to
yeah.
go somewhere. And that was helped me, and that kept coming back to me in whatever projects I have worked on, whichever the offices I have worked on, whomever I've interacted with. I always found that opportunity where I was able to connect with those people, able to understand what they were trying to do and look at what I can add value. And there have been situations where when I felt like I cannot add value, I've turned back and said, hey, listen, I cannot do it. So it's been a situation on 2 3 occasions where I turned up to my own managers and say, listen, I don't think you need me to spend more time in this particular country office because
Mm,
they can do their job. Why do you need me? I'm ready to go to a place where my skill set will add value.
yeah.
And if I'm going to do it for the sake of my job, that means I'm not allowing them to grow. I'm taking their opportunity. So that is what I would say, which has taught me over the years, is how do you bring that conversation into it? And over the years now, how can you make this transition? What can you do sitting at the headquarters or sitting at those positions to able to drive the change process? So that's what, the passion which drives me now.
Good. And after doing all these things, now even working from Geneva in Switzerland, you're also doing mentorship for amazing projects like teens in AI, teens in artificial intelligence. It's a amazing moment. Can you please tell the audience what is this teens.ai and what is your mentorship? How is it changing and how teenage children are bringing solutions to the problems of the world?
So that's an interesting one. It also has a different connection. So I came across this a founder called Elena Sinel,
Hmm.
who came over to Geneva and stayed at my place, and I took her for attending a conference. And she came back and passionately said what she's trying to do. And she was trying to basically bring young people into machine learning and artificial intelligence and
Hmm.
get them exposed to it, and especially the girls, so that they can build a career out of it. And also, if you look at it, the whole education system has changed differently.
Okay.
And it's not just about what you are learning in the schools, but it's also about getting them exposed into their design thinking, learning from experience, and also building their social skills, team building skills, and their entrepreneur skills. That's what Teens in AI does. So Teens in AI organizes hackathons. Hackathons is a 1 day or 2 day concept. Generally, it's 2 day program where you give them a problem, you bring people together from all walks of life, and they come out with innovative solutions to solve. And then accelerator program is when you have a prototype, you spend more time, bring in people who can help them to develop it and take it to the next level from an ideation to a creation of a particular product. So that's what we Teens in AI does. My association got even more strengthened in the especially in the last 6 to 7 months. I have been discussing with the founder and help them in providing information or pointing them to various parts. But the whole part of mentoring came into play when Elena spoke to me, during the COVID time, the first time in my life. I moved back to London and I'm sitting with my family. And it's kind of an interesting phase what we are going through, where in the previous any calamities or any pandemic or any situation where I had an opportunity to go and help them or being part of the solution, whether it is Sudan, whether it is tsunami, whether it is any of them, I've been able to do it. But on this particular one, I am back home and I was feeling it like, what is happening for me? How do I move forward? So that's where Elena came up and said, Ganesh, we are doing an online hackathon. I would like you to be one of the person to launch the challenge. And you are a very good mentor. You have been mentoring me in your own way. Why don't you give a shot? And I would like also to be joined as one of our advisors. And that's where it started. And it's really fascinating. Working with young people. I can say I became like a teenager when I spent time with them, helping them. When they develop a PowerPoint, when they develop a new idea, asking them questions, looking for information, connecting them to do the project. It was amazing. Including my son turned around and said, like, I can't believe that you have become a 15-year-old and you are being so excited about what are you doing. So it's something which is really exciting. And what we have done is we are this was the second time a month ago where we had some participants from Africa.
Yeah.
Last time we had 40 young people from 40 countries participated. They came up with innovative solutions which could really make a huge difference. And I'm right
These are
now
all
mentoring
teenagers. Teenagers.
15 to 18.
Not even undergrad. They're just school, high school.
Maybe one or two would be going to college, but most of them are 15 plus.
And they're bringing solutions using AI. Now, my
Yeah,
dear
yeah.
audience, I don't know what you're studying, what you're doing. Right here we have an organization, Teens in AI. I've also shared that on the screen. Can you tell us? I heard that they're doing amazing solutions for even the war zone people to get connected.
So there were
Can you tell about
two.
that?
So, yeah, so there are two teams with whom I'm working very closely. The one team is young four girls, 15-year-old, 15 and 16-year-old. They came up with an app to help domestic violence survivors,
Wow.
especially because of the pandemic. There is a lot of abuse because of job losses, people getting mental depressions, there were abuses. So they came up with an app which using the AI can record and provide information. So now they are developing it to the next stage. It's from a prototype. They are doing it as a live version. So I am one of their mentors in helping them in terms of their longer term strategy, looking at how they can raise money to do that one. That was one. The second one, which is at the early stages, this again, four teenagers have come up, put together a communication which could be used in a low band situation in refugee camp scenarios where the beneficiaries can reach out to the authorities asking for help.
Wow.
Because generally is comes from up to down. Very
Mhm.
little happens from down to up. So this is something will help them, and especially when the restrictions and movements are limited. So those are the two ones I'm involved. But there are so many other. If you go into their website, you will
Yeah.
find it. There are other creative solutions which has been taken to the next stage, and pretty soon one or two will be available in the Apple and Google app stores.
So these are the ones, right? They have accelerator programs. They have girls in AI. That's something empowering.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. So this is this year, maybe 2021. We should spread this more out in our country in India, and then get people on board. And so this is COVID-19 hackathon. London Tech Week hack, and NASA space hack. All right. Okay. Good. And we love the statement, huh? AI is shaping the world. Who will shape AI? Okay, good. So maybe we at VIT University, we just want to welcome you for the next year. Anything, any support, let's accelerate this. Let's
Sure,
make
definitely.
more. Yeah, because at VIT University, there's a huge talent and through the country. Let's bring good solutions to the world to make our people's life better. So what's the message, Ganesh Ramachandran, sir? So you're from a village from Tamil Nadu, worked hard, walked on the roads to just save money, had a passion to work in United Nations. So can you throw a little light to the audience, especially to the young people? Then I'll turn you and I'll show you your own screen on YouTube. There are so many people asking you questions, wishing you. I don't know who some of them know you or don't know you, and we'll also answer that question. So, what's your message to the youth today? With all the struggles, you said you wanted to get to UN and you are working now, not even having.
See,
So,
yeah, so this is a very personal one. It's my, to be frank enough, it was my grandfather's dream when I was brought up. I remember it's back somewhere in your mind. People say what you learn during the childhood, the childhood is so precious and it stays in you.
mm,
Somewhere in my grandfather had mentioned he had spoken about the World War. He spoke about the League of Nations, not even United Nations, League of Nations. And
mm,
somewhere I remember telling him like somebody would be nice to work for you and from our family. And as I
mm,
started working in the humanitarian world, the the quest started coming in, and I wanted to work for them. I started praying. So my dream was I want to work at least one day for the UN,
mm,
hold my name in the ID card, Ganesh
mm,
Ramachandran. That was my dream. It's like one day prime minister or one day becoming a CEO kind of a life, and then able to hold the special UN passport. When you work for a UN for any official travel, we travel on the UN
a
passport,
blue,
which
a
is a
blue, blue
blue in
passport.
color, the
Do you
blue
have
in
that?
color.
Oh, could you please show that? What's that? Oh God, United Nations. There we go. And that's not easy to get it. And
If you
that's
work
more
for the
than
UN, you get
if
it.
you work, you get it, and then that's more bigger than any other visa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
just know that.
it's a privilege. It's a privilege, and is a special thing what you get, and you maintain for it. It's an absolute honor, and my life's blessing to work, being part of that, and able to contribute something to the UN. So that's where I was able to do it, and it took me a long drive. 80 plus applications, 20 plus interviews, and then I managed to get a job, and I love it, and I really enjoy what I'm doing, and I'm able to make a difference in my own way.
Mhm.
But it's just a privilege to be part of the system. And
So,
what I would say to people would be is on that is this is what something I tell my son, my daughter, my wife, and my family is these are some of the things you need to dream. You need to dream where you want to go. You need to have that drive. You
mhm,
shouldn't give up. Your sheer determination is something would be there, and focus on the whole idea of focus where you want to go. It never happens overnight. Nothing is in a straight line. It goes somewhere, so you need to be focused, and the time will come when it get through. And then the last part is for me is very important is the gratitude. You need to be humble, you need to be gratitude. Those are
mhm,
that's something which I have been lucky, I've been blessed. I learned from my grandparents and my family, who has been an amazing support, who has been with me. But that's what I would say, it's really important. Work hard. The difference, the one thing which I can say today was, for me it's a journey, it is never a destination. So as long as I keep thinking that it's a journey for me, I'm able to move. The day I see I've reached a destination, I think the journey stops. So it's about how do we keep it going, and I feel like I've not done anything big. Still there is a long way to go. I'm still dreaming, and that will keep continuing. So that's the only thing which I would say. Don't just focus on one thing. Try to look at your strength, look at what you can learn. Every opportunity is it's important. uh, don't give up an opportunity. Even if it doesn't come to you, it's okay. Nothing wrong in failing. You need to keep trying for it, and that is what I truly believe in.
And my dear audience, where you are watching from, when you see this kind of unsung heroes doing great job, the best word what I love till now is being gratitude, being humble. The more you're humble, all right, you would definitely grow up. All right. So be simple and be humble and ready to mingle. Be humble, be simple, ready to mingle. All right. And the world is yours. If you're not simple and ready to mingle, all right, you'll become jungle. You have to stay alone somewhere and you cannot connect to the world. Now, can I just ask you a little bit about, before we go to the Q&A from the YouTube, there are a lot of viewers watching and giving you comments. In the United Nations or where you're working, you have people from all over the world, yeah, different cultures, different countries. How do you think that you're working? How do you think that, at the end of the day, humans are humans, no matter we are from Africa or India or China or anywhere. All right. So how did you manage to work? And you're working in a very important profile, yeah, at United Nations. So how these countries people come together? Is there anything that they are big and we are small, or all of us have equal opportunity to grow? Because in India, from my side, we always brought up that array of foreign hai, oh, foreign hai, that is foreign. They are more advanced. What is your take on that? Because you've been to 6 continents. So what is your take on that? Does everybody have equal privilege to grow? Or how do you work with international people?
So this is my personal view. So it is, let's be very honest. When you have uh, people from different parts of the world in one place, or when you work together, it's
Mm,
not going to be the same, right? You have been brought up differently, they have been brought up differently. So it's about how do you find it.
mm,
What has worked for me is what I call it as cultural sensitivity and cultural awareness. So every human being would like to feel privileged and take a pride in where they have come from. And when you make a small effort in
mm,
appreciating and valuing what they have come from, the world is yours. It has opened up for me. So,
mm.
for a simple reason, one of the things which I have learned and which I follow before I go to any country, I learn how do you say thank you, and how do you
Okay.
say good morning, good afternoon. So the
Basic.
moment when you say that, everything changes. It just opens up, and if you know something about them and make an attempt, a sincere attempt
Mm,
to inquire about them, it opens up. It's not just about the global world. Even India, for example, you asked me at the earlier, how did that work for you in Calcutta?
yeah.
If I look back myself, I try to learn a little bit of Bengali. My Bengali is not that great, but I really, love the language. So I learned a little bit of words, to have the conversation with them, and made an effort to be part of them, to think from that perspective. And that opens up when you make 2 steps towards them, the other person will make 4 steps for you. But when you don't want
Definitely.
to make a step and you want to hold on that this is what I am and nothing is going to, so that's what has helped me. You're right, I had an opportunity to work with almost more than 100 nationalities, or 100 plus nationalities across the world.
Mhm.
And we live in London, so it's a very diverse and international
Cosmo.
community,
Yeah.
cosmopolitan city. So, but if you ask me what is one thing which I have taken, and what my friends and families have realized, is that able to learn and able to appreciate each other, their differences, and also the values, and then the door opens up for you automatically.
So
That's
maybe
what I
the
would say.
lesson what you're trying to drive is all fingers are not the same. Learn to appreciate the differences. Yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate the differences. Yeah, there is a difference of opinion with you about me, but let's celebrate. Maybe we can bring the other word. Celebrate the
Celebrate. Let's celebrate our differences and celebrate our values, and celebrate our experiences together.
sure. So can we just quickly go to the YouTube? I'm trying to
Okay.
share with you on the screen. Can you see there?
Yeah.
Let's come from the top. Yeah. So I don't know. These are all the comments from there. So we need to thank everyone. for
Thank you so
giving all
much.
the positive. There are so many saying thank you from Andhra, from I don't know, so many different places. There are some principals, vice principals. Sagairat sir, he's there. And Namaskaram sir, madam, excellent program. Good evening, thank you. Okay. And there are some questions where technique. Okay, there we go. Nice interview, and you're always a blessing as well as future actually house. Somebody is saying that they're feeling that they're having an international exposure, all right, by sharing excellent experiences by the resource person. Thank you, Samuel, for the amazing experience. And Rajalingam Mrotra, we're experiencing an amazing 20 years of world tour and learning priceless
Thank
experiences. Thank you so much. Yeah, and Chandra Shekhar Patnaik, I don't know from which part they are, but what a great personality with so much of humbleness, situations to his humbleness. And Vikas Charles, yeah, he's one good friend of mine. They're watching you from Karnataka. So he's excellent and wonderful, sharing knowledge. Yeah, and there we go. There's one question which I saw in between. Um, okay, how that's there? 1 minute. I'll just put it up. Yeah, I had a doubt about education is the see, can you see there? Tarun Nendri, is education the only way to settle in life, sir? That's a question after listening to you. Like I think so. The question is about only do we have to only study and then grow up or what? That's a question.
Well, I would unpack it in two ways. One is education is important, and I'm now doing my another executive masters now on innovation and entrepreneurship. So there is never, you don't have an age limit for education. You keep studying. It's about learning. It's about going there. But what I would say is, it's the question is, what is settling in life? And that is what I would ask you. For every person, that will differ. And as I said to you earlier, for me, I consider it's a journey. I'm still on the journey. I don't know where I will go and what I want to do, and I'm still exploring and I'm dreaming and I'm continuing that. So what I would say is, education is really important. And through education, you find your own destiny, you find your own journey, and
Mm.
you keep going forward. It's hard for me to say, that will help you to settle in. It's very difficult, because settling is a very relative term. So
Yeah.
it's about experience, it's about able to learn. And the most importantly, I would just say, at the end of the day, uh, how do you feel happy? How are you happy at heart? How you are able to, the one thing which I feel is, at the end of the day, when you close your eyes, when you do everything, you go into the bed, lie down on your bed, and you close your eyes. If you are able to sleep within
Happily.
2 minutes at peace,
Yeah.
I think that's the best place to be there. And that's what I would say. It's the settling part for me, at least. So that's
Good.
what I would say to carry on. Yeah.
Let's take one more question. There's Mr. Anil Singh. I guess Anil Singh. We just met even now, like a couple of weeks ago, maybe from Nagpur, from Maharashtra. How can you guide Indian to take risk, keeping you as a role model for working in a conflict country, Ganesh sir? It's there on the chat. It's from Anil Singh from Nagpur. How can you guide Indian to take risk, keeping you as a role model for working conflict? And there's another professor and a principal of Omega PG College, MBA from Hyderabad. Thank you, Chandrasekhar sir. He's giving you amazing, excellent reviews. Thank you, sir, for that. Principal, sir, for coming all the way. And there's
Thank you.
another professor from Andhra. He has made his students also to come. His name is
Thank
Santosh.
you so much.
He and along with the students are watching your talk, and they're really amazed. So let's close here and take this question of how can we guide Indians to take risk to keep you, by keeping you as a role model to work in the conflict zone?
So I would just start by saying that I will drop the word as Indian, as a human being, as an individual. It's about taking the risk, what you are trying to do.
Yeah.
And you need to be prepared why you are doing it. Yeah. Yes, war zones are not a safe place. Today going to some of the places, what we are going through is not great. But
Mm.
still, the humanitarian work needs to continue. We need to help people. We cannot leave people behind. The
Yeah.
bottom line comes is, are you passionate? Is your passion is to help others? Are you ready to sacrifice some of your so-called your privileges and able to share the privileges what others will get it?
Mm.
Start going for it. That's what I would say to you. And definitely the situations have gone better today when compared to when me or some of my peers and my leaders who have worked in some of those contexts. Meaning you have a better communication nowadays. You've got a better support from the government. With no offense, like when I was there in Tajikistan, I had a wonderful opportunity to have a dinner at the ambassador's residence. And because he was fascinated to see an Indian working in Northeast Afghanistan at the age of 25. So for them was like, wow, okay, why would he do?
Yeah.
So it was a interesting experience. In some of the places, people were looking at it and say, oh, okay, can people make that one? So that's a difference. And the second part, more than even in the conflict, I would just say, when 20 years ago, the whole concept of development work was different, or
Yeah.
humanitarian work was different. It was not something which was being seen as a career, which was not something being seen as professionalism. It's been seen as, with no offense, people have said that these are people who wear a sliding bag, grow a beard, wear a long dress,
Yeah. Yeah.
and keep talking about changing the world. Nothing happens. But today it's different. Today you have got people, the people from the business school are working for the NGOs or social development organization. You've got all the big C-suite people want to be part of the corporations. Everyone wants to contribute their own way because they are able to see it, because it is impacting everybody, right? Because
Yeah.
there was a situation a few years ago, nothing happened to each one of us.
Yes.
No offense, when I used to say 15 16 years ago, when I used to come back from some of those places, people will look at me like, why, what are you talking about? Because they don't know what is that problem. But when
Yes.
things happen, when tsunami happened in South India, that was an eye opening for a lot of people. When
Yes.
we started having, I pray to God we shouldn't have it. No calamity is good for anybody, but that opens up people's view to know what is the suffering and what is the value.
Yeah.
The value of human life increases. And even now, we are in the pandemic. A lot of people are now realizing how our life and spending time with their loved ones are so important, where we
Yeah.
have gone behind so much about the work. So it's kind of, we are in a different space. And I would say that that gives you an opportunity. And the bottom line I would say to that question would be is, it's it's something special. You need to feel it. It's hard for me to
Mm.
say. It's
It
when
can't
I
be explained. It has to be experienced. Huh?
experience, yeah, thanks, Sam. It's about the experience. When you see, you don't have to go to the conflict zone. You walk out and you feed two people who are in need of a food. It's a different feeling.
Yeah.
And that's what we are talking about, and that's what I would say you should experience it. And if you are able to get that joy, it could be anything. It is not working only in a conflict zone. It could be anything, even in your own apartment, in your own house, in your own family. If you are able to make a difference by whatever you do, that is unbelievable. If you are at home, you cook a meal for your mother, cook a meal for your wife, or cook something for your sister or your brother or your kid. One day you say, what, today you don't do anything, I will do it. And that's a
Mm.
special feeling, and that experience and that happiness is what I experience it. And that joy, and it'll be different. Maybe you have my email address, do it and then reach out to me, and we can have a conversation about it.
Yeah. Good. So One professor quickly sent me a picture. Maybe all that we spoke, this message would be amazing, that it's what you do with what you have. I just want to share that to the audience. This is shared by
Yes,
Santosh
it's
sir.
there in my. It's there in my. I was about to say
Yeah.
it's there in my Facebook today. This is
Oh,
this touched me this morning. Waking up this morning, this
yeah.
was unbelievable. Yeah.
Can you see that? Uh, this is in Maharashtra again, where you first started your life. See, the whole world is different for her. It's water, it's dirt, there's nothing, but still she chose to learn. All right. And if this is the way that I have to do something with what I've got, and I'm sure, all right, she had amazing mark, 98%. All right. She's preparing for
Brilliant.
MBBS.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So, my dear friends, wherever you're watching this from, all right, Ganesh Ramachandran sir, who started from a small school in village, went on to work in the daytime to earn his living and study in the evening, worked in the villages. So everyone thinking, okay, now he's big, he's got to 6 continents in 66 countries, working for UN. Please don't think that he has reached that. And every one of you who are listening, you think that, okay, I should become like him. Please think there is so much of struggle which he has gone through. Please read those stories behind the stories. All right. Anyone, read the story behind the story. Now, don't say, hey, I want to become like him. Yes. But what all he went through, how many days he has struggled, how many days he did not eat, how many days he walked, how many days he never had a basic amenities. But today, his heart is for the people. I will work, I will develop, I will make somebody's life a little more meaningful. And the beautiful message to sum up with what Sir told is do something with what you have and where you are and where your hand can reach. I'm living in a village. I'm doing something for my people and around. That's enough. All of us cannot do everything, but each of us can do something. Am I right, Ganesha? All of us
Absolutely.
cannot do everything, but each of us can do something. And you can see him, he's a working professional, he's a humanitarian, he's a consultant, he's a mentor, and he never forgot his mentors. Wherever Joseph Sir is, we need to thank God to him that he has brought. So the message to all of us is each of us, whether you're a student or an employee or a boss or whatever level, all of us should have some mentors in our expertise area. Because that mentors is not just that we grow, we also bring life to somebody else. So, Ganesh sir, it was so wonderful, and I'm sure that the joy what you have, and to work, who at a young age will go and work in a war zone place that you coming from India? Audience, you should put this question to yourself. At a young age of 23, 24, if somebody say, "Hey, go and work in a war zone," बोला, "अरे bye, thank you." All right, everyone thinks of self, but here he says, "Hey, I need to work for people." Yeah.
But
So
it's also the what I would say to you would be is an addiction, it's a drug, what you get it, right? Going back to the last answer, when you saw an happiness, when you are able to see that you are able to drive, you are able to contribute, that adrenaline increases in you, right?
yeah,
It's a different one. So that's what I would say. And the one thing I would like to say as we close this one, Sam, to everyone who is watching and seeing is, you draw your own story. Your story is powerful. Everyone has a story, and you need to identify what is your story. In that story, you will come across, I go back to the first one, you will come across many people who for a reason, and how those people help you, shape you to create your own story makes life interesting, and makes it special. And for me, I just want to say this to everyone, is, the mentors, the influencers, and the people who have impacted, whether positively or negatively. It's not, no human being has any negative intentions to hurt anyone. Is that from their perspective they say something, and it's about how do you absorb, how do you take it forward, and what takes you drive. For me, a lot of times people have said, when it's something which I picked up from my mother, I would say, that's what when you say, or my wife has got that right, and when you say you can't do it, you do it. And that's the drive we need to have it, and able to see how you can take it forward. Mentors are special, and if you have one, please be in touch with them, don't forget them. And you never know when what they have done will help you. And the one last storyline for me was, it's what I see from my life journey is, it's not what you learn or what you do today, but it's kind of, it comes over a period. And sometimes what you would have learned in 15 years, at the age of 15, comes to light when you are 35 years old. What you learn in 25 comes at 43. So it's kind of, able to have a journal, able to remember it, and able to reflect it back, and constantly learn and grow.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say, which is really I try to do. I'm not very good at it. I wish I could do more,
Hmm.
but that's the journey. That's the dream I'm looking for.
Good. So maybe it's our wish and prayer that you travel more, you do more better things. And you know what? All of you are watching today, understand, all the young people, especially the youngsters, students, college students, working people, there is a senior old person in you who is already there, whom you will become after 50 and 60 and 70. You may be now 20, 25, 30, 35, I don't know, whatever your age is, but in you, there is somebody who's going to work or survive at the age of 60 and 70. So understand, now it is the right age. At a young age, if you can seed it well, if you can manure it well, you will not be able to trouble that senior person who's going to come out from you after 40, 50, 60, 70 years. At the young age, take the best thing. And when you say the spelling of youth, because at the age of 40, sir has completed more than 66 countries, 6 continents at a young age, because we have energy at the young age. We have passion at the young age. We have power to think at the young age. So, as rightly said, it's like a story of a Chinese bamboo, Ganesha. It takes 5 years to manure, to water the Chinese bamboo to spurt out of the land. 5 years, it'll never come out of the ground. Just go search Chinese bamboo story, you'll understand. Truth. 5 years. But now the world is all about, Ganesha, is instant gratification, instant result, Instagram, instant chat. I put a photo, 50 people should like. Getting the point. And this Chinese bamboo, it takes 5 years to come out of the ground, but within 5 weeks, it grows 90 feet, brother. You can see the physical growth, and then it's strong because it's creating a root. So when the root is strong, the fruit is sweet, brother. And
Absolutely.
your brother and sister, wherever you're listening from, when your root is strong, the root of Ganesh Ramachandran was so strong. Struggles, and then it landed up. See the number of interviews they attended. All right. But for us, it's a great lesson. Sir, we wish to offer you on behalf of VIT University, there has to be these are the stories where books have to come. So if your story can come out as a real book, which has a management lesson, a psychological lesson, a motivational lesson, plus your stories, we would be so honored to partner to write, because these stories many people don't know, and textbook will never give this, because we need to create a text around the context. Now, Ganesh Ramachandran sir is context. Now let's create a text among the context, and may so many youth listen to you, may so many people, and I've given sir's email in the YouTube chat for people as they were asking. It's there, rganesh7@yahoo.com. It's there in the chat on the YouTube. All right, you can please take it up and reach up sir. And so I just wanted to close
Anytime,
with
Sam, as you just mentioned, at any time anyone wants to reach out, my
yes,
email is there. I'm available. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to share, provide any support I could do, and guide you through the process if that's of interest to anyone. Absolutely.
sure.
With my
So maybe can I just put a new slide here and say, hey, that's Ganesh's email, right? Can we see
Thank you.
that so that people can, okay.
And I also want to take this opportunity to thank Professor Samuel for inviting
Pleasure.
me and taking time to hear in my life experiences and story to share it with amongst all the people. And it's been a wonderful experience, and I really hope and it'll be my pleasure if my experiences and my contribution could help in developing some materials or a book or some kind of a journal which would help today's youth and tomorrow's youth. I'm up for it. I'm always available, and let's hope that we will be able to get something as early as possible. I'm
Sure.
fully available for that.
Oh, sure. So let's close up with this. There we go. That's Ganesh Ramachandran for you, taking its time all the way from UK in the evening. And that's number of countries he's visited the world. So it's such a joy that a person who has experienced this world, went around to work for the betterment, has given so many insights. And at VIT-AP University, the VIT-AP School of Business, we want to really thank you. And that 14 list of bucket list will become, I'm sure, more than, I don't know, 140 countries
Maybe
soon.
you can, Sam, you can come with me to the bucket list. You can add it. The one on the bucket list is the bottom of it, Antarctica.
Okay, Antarctica. So here you'll go. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can come with me. Let's go
Okay,
together.
let's go. Let's take a holiday and just go out. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go together. I think that would be the next destination for us. Let's
Definitely.
start the journey.
Just backpack and put up and then go off. And there also we can serve people. There are a lot of,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah,
we can work for
absolutely.
them. Sure. So
Thank
that's
you so much. Thank
such
you
a
so much.
joy, such a joy. And what's the time now for you? For me in India is 11:18. So it should be for you around 7.
6:40, 6:50.
Okay. It's around
Yeah.
7, 6:50.
Thank you
Perfect.
so
So
much for everyone for listening in so late. I know it's pretty late for everyone, and have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Have a good day. God bless you, sir. Thank you so much. Yes.